Hello and welcome to the Boro Breakdown podcast with Jonny and Dana and another lowdown show. And this time it's about RAV van der Berg. He signed on Thursday. If you're watching it today, then it's today. If not, it's Thursday. He's 18-year-old, 19, probably after you've seen this video because it's his birthday tomorrow. And also he signed on a 4-year deal from Pek Zwolle. But to get some insight from an opposition fan, we spoke to Matt from Pek Zwolle UK to find out a little bit more about Boro's new signing.
So Rav has played in a few positions for Pek Zwolle, namely centre-back, but he has filled in the right-back role and also as a CDM just in front of the back four. He has been in and around the starting team, so the first team for Pek Zwolle from the age of 15, mainly in the squad since 16, and he has come on leaps and bounds. This is shown by the interest in loads of clubs around the world. Back in January, there was interest from Ajax and also Roma. His confidence has grown, especially in the last few years. He was giving a lot of stray balls away when he first came into the team, but that was in a very poor side where we got relegated. Last season, in our promotion season, he was far more confident. In regards to style of play, I see him as a John Stones-like player, and that's what he's developing into. So being defensively proficient and then carrying the ball out to creating attacking opportunities. His weakness in his game, I would say, is his aerial ability, which we'll need to work on, especially coming up against strong forwards in the Championship. I don't want him to be bullied in the Championship, but I'm sure the setup at Middlesbrough will help him. You know, having nutrition coaches, having the right people around him, especially being under the stewardship of Michael Carrick and Jonathan Woodgate. On the move, I think it would benefit both parties. Pek Zwolle are a selling club, so they'd be happy with the money that they'll receive. And secondly, Middlesbrough will have a great young talent on their hands. Somebody who has been kept a tab on by a lot of the leading clubs in Europe. And I think it'll be good because the Championship is a league that is unforgiving. And I think in the long term, that'll help his game and help his development. Hopefully, he'll just be a cog in the wheel, which will help Boro get back to the promised land of the Premier League.
This is an exciting signing, Dana, isn't it? Like, this is something that we're not really used to. You know, a lot of clubs after RAV van der Berg, and we've managed to come out on top. You know, there's people like Brentford, there's Ajax, who was mentioned there, and a number of clubs around Europe were after his signature. He's decided to come to us. And I think there's one thing as well that I really liked, was just in that clip there, but him in his Rav's footballing journey, his next development is with us, and it's not like a player for life, it's a player for like the next moment of his thing. So I quite like that aspect of it, because I'm hoping we can really develop this guy into something really special, because the potential, what people are saying about him is really, really cool. But most importantly, you've been watching him as well. We've been compiling a few clips over the last couple of days to see what these type of players are like, and can we kind of get some really good insight for people who are interested in these type of players for the season ahead. So you've watched a few clips. What do you think of RAV van der Berg?
Yeah, really intriguing player. You mentioned there about, I suppose, the high ceiling. And a lot of the time when we do sign a player like this, especially a young player, Boro fans can at times be a little bit quizzical, thinking, yeah, well, we've got our own academy for that. But simply put, sometimes players from overseas or players from other clubs, these external signings, they're just at a better level than our academy, or they've got a higher potential resale value. And I think this is what we brought, or part of the reason why we brought van der Berg in. It makes sense from a business standpoint, absolutely. But he's a very, very big unit, is van der Berg, 6'3". We don't call him the tree, though. That's specifically for Matt Crooks. But
he could be the trunk. He could be the trunk.
Yes. He can be the trunk, but he's decently physical. He often lets the the centre forward back into him, using that 6'3" frame to counter the physical battle. I know Matt said there about aerial duels being particularly weak, but statistically they're pretty decent. 5.38 aerial duels per 90 last season, with a success rate of 71.43. He appears to read the game pretty well, knowing largely when to press up and bite, although I did know that there were a few times that he was maybe a little bit overzealous. But for an 18-year-old, 19 tomorrow, he seems more conservative with his aggression, and something that can be missing from a young defender's game. We've seen it with Ben Gibson, where he got quite a few red cards when he first came into the team. I think, although we didn't see Dale Fry get red carded anywhere near enough as Ben Gibson did, there was maybe that sense of a lack of aggression really with Dale Fry. He never really came into his own until maybe Warnock came into the club, but he reminds me a little bit. I know there was comparisons to John Stones here, so I'm going to throw a complete chalk and cheese one in. But he does remind me of Dale Fry stylistically, composed when it actually comes to defending, and also knowing when to wait in certain phases. Pretty quick as well, actually, for someone that is quite big. So when you think about the way that Boro play, and the way that maybe the left back or the right back maybe next season will push on and maybe leave one of the two centre halves exposed, maybe that's a good attribute to have. We might get counted on. We might well get counted on to have somebody with pace in that back line. Really important. One negative or one potential weakness of him, what Matt mentioned, is his long range passing. It doesn't seem particularly strong with that. His long passing accuracy was 38.71 last season, the fourth lowest in the whole league. But with the way that Boro play, not so much of a glaringly obvious red flag to me, because if we still had Warnock at the club, it would be, because there was an emphasis on trying to get the ball out wide very quickly through the route of long balls. Ours, if we do go long, it's more from centre half to full back. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem. But if we do go long, we might see some stray balls still. It's an area of his game that, in terms of build out, he might need to improve on. But he does seem to be one of these modern day defenders where they will bring the ball up from the back. They're comfortable bringing the ball up from the back. And with that, it's exciting. It's quite an enticing signing from us. And it's very nice, isn't it, when you see that Boro have fended off interest from the likes of Liverpool, Bayern, Dortmund, Roma, Brentford as well. I know it might seem like I'm doing Brentford dirty, putting them after those teams.
It's a little bit, but it's okay.
Yeah, but they're a very, very smart club, and they're a team and a club that we should be emulating. So the fact that they're interested in him, a smart club, this might be a smart signing for Boro. And obviously we want to become that smart club. So yeah, very, very invested in this one and intrigued about what Van den Berg can bring us.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, the negative that you were saying there, or the slight negative of the long ball, I think it's something that can be worked on. You know what I mean? It's not like a skill which you don't have. I think it's something you can definitely attain over time. He's still 18. He's a child, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like, he's just old enough to go to the Empire. So like it's.
I wouldn't recommend anyone going to the Empire.
Well, you know it. Well, or the Wobbly Goblin, or Flares. Wherever you want to go.
Not the Wobbly Goblin either. Go to Empire, not the Wobbly Goblin.
There are other club choices out there, but just saying, like, he's so young, he can develop so good, so quickly as well. And I think the for me the concern is that he's 18, and also the physicality of the championship can be quite difficult. You know, how is he going to adapt in this league? And don't get me wrong, he's going to have time. Like, every player that we're going to sign in this window now, they're all signing pretty much 3 to 4 year deals. These are long-term projects, but also we've got the players already at the club that can give us the success now. I'd be really intrigued to see what we do with Van den Berg, because he looks like a player for me that could probably fit in straight away. And if the more game time we give him, the better he's going to get. But we have players ahead of him. There's Paddy McNair, there's Matt Clark still knocking about. There's Dale Fry as well. And this additional centre half creates an opportunity for someone elsewhere, because we could potentially see someone else go now, couldn't we? Do you think we could see like either Fry or McNair go, Dana, in like maybe the next couple of weeks with Van den Berg coming in?
Potentially, yeah. I have thought for a long time now that maybe it's time for certain players to move on this summer. There's 4 in particular that I'm thinking of. Fry and McNair are two of those. Bowler and Dykesdale are the others. Just because they've been at this club for a decent amount of time now, where it might just be time for the next challenge for them. And I think there's a decent price tag on both Fry and McNair. With Berg, he has said in his interview that he came here for game time and the opportunities that will arise through the Championship's very rigorous schedule, Saturday, Tuesday, until Sky Sports put Norwich on a Monday night or something ridiculous like that. But I think he's a signing that will definitely grow into the season. And he's not going to be a starter straight away, I don't think. But do not get blindsided by his age. I think he's at a decent level, it seems, and has a decent ceiling. So, you know, clubs like Liverpool, Bayern, Brentford, Roma, even Dortmund and even Brentford, they don't they're not interested in signings for now. You know, they have to be decent, and they have to have decent potential and a decent starting level, I guess. So it is going to be interesting. But I have thought for a while now that maybe one of Fry and McNair will leave, but that centre half rotational situation there is very interesting. I think we can be very certain that Lenihan has got his position, but that other centre half spot is up for grabs.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And, you know, what an exciting prospect to bring in. And even I was just thinking there was, as you were saying, we brought him in after his 4-year deal. He's still only 22. So he could still have another 10 games, 10 years in the game. And it's so
10 games in the year.
10 games in the year. You know, but he could have another 10 years and he'd still be in his prime at 32. So for me, it's such a really good signing. I think for us to bring someone in like this, I think the caliber from the clips that we've seen doesn't show the whole picture. You know, the eye test definitely does count for a lot of things. You know, we can look at as much data as we want, but end of the day, that as we see as the championship goes on, we'll get a much better picture of what's player we've really brought in. But we've brought in someone now who, if he didn't do it this year, we can bring on, we can take him out on loan somewhere. You know, we can give him the time to develop and come back first team. But for me, I think he'll be in the first team. I think he'll play a number of games this season, and it's an exciting prospect to have, especially the way he can bring the ball out from defence. He can try and find men. If he has that John Stones quality, like Matt was mentioning earlier, then what a talent we've got on our hands as well. But Dana, how would you rate this signing out of 5? You know, 5 being amazing, 1 being absolutely horrendous, and yeah, just don't even think about it. So what are you going to go with on this one?
Like the Alain Gilbert one, I'm going to go with...
Yeah. Is that how you feel? Is that how you feeling about
it? I'm going to go with 4. 4. Again, I think, yeah, it's one with a lot of potential and a lot of potential in the present, not only in the future as well. So I think it makes sense from a business standpoint. You kind of alluded to it at the beginning. It's most likely a stepping stone for him, but it just seems to make sense. We are not a club anymore that can, or have we ever been really? I don't know, that can retain these really high quality players with, I know he's not a high quality player yet, but I feel like he could be. We're not the type of club to be able to retain these types of players. So we will be a stepping stone for him, but as long as we get the maximum out of him and then we can sell him on for a decent profit, then that's fine. I'm getting really ahead of myself here. He's only just gone through the door and I'm already thinking about him leaving. But you know what I mean? It makes sense from a business standpoint, but hopefully from a playing perspective, we can also see a very, very good player materialise in front of us.
I'm going to go with a 4.5. I'm going to go on the Alain Gilbert scale of a 4.5. If it was like number 1, it'd be Alex Gilbert. But if it was number 4.5, Alain Gilbert. But people have no idea what we're on about here. But
no.
You'll see in our content over the next few weeks. But I think it's a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a really, really promising signing. I think he's had enough game time at such a young age as well. Game time could be an issue as he gets a little bit older, but right now, really, really good. I'm very, very excited to what he can bring. You know, I think we're only adding quality to the group that we already have. and for me, he's got a high ceiling as well. And I'm excited to see what we do. The strategy that we have this summer is really, really good for us. If he can play right back, he can play centre half, he can play in midfield. That's a really good omen to have for any player that comes through the door. So, yeah, really impressed with me. So 4.5. But for right now, Dana, thank you very much for joining me as always. And if you like this video, and also if listening on the podcast provider, do give us a 5-star rating. That helps us get found, shared, and all that fun stuff. But for right now, this has been the Boro Breakdown podcast, and that was all your Rav Vandenberg chatter in a pod. Up the Boro Breakdown.